Welcome to Talk Utah. I'm Holly Love with the oh-so-charming Mr. Trip Mitchell. And today we have a very...
Wait. That subject never comes up during the week. I get more garbage from you and...
What? Garbage? You never get garbage from me.
That's...
Unless I ask you to take out the garbage.
And I do it voluntarily.
I know, you do such a good job. That's such a nice thing.
Thank you. That is kind of a... When you look at male and female roles, that is a male role right there.
It is, and we don't even have to ask you. You just jump on it. It's a good thing.
I've been trained in life.
I know, you've learned a few things. That one's good. Keep that one in your back pocket. Okay, so we have a very special show for you today because we've been focusing on issues facing Utah kids here at Talk Utah, everything from school budgets to bullying. And today we are going to take an in-depth look at the rapid rise of children dealing with learning disabilities.
And it has become so much more pronounced as we learn more about the mind. And if you look at science and technology and medicine, we are leapfrogging ahead. And so people have come up with solutions for a lot of problems that maybe past generations didn't know they have, or maybe it's a result of our culture.
In the statistics, we just didn't deal with them. I mean, 30 years ago, it was only 1 in 10,000 children dealing with autism, and now it's like 1 in 68. Asperger's, something that I had never even heard of growing up, is found 1 in 10 children. And then there's like 11% of the American children that are struggling with ADHD. And all learning disabilities are on the rise of like 15 to 20%. So clearly we have a really big problem happening here. And if you have a child that is suffering, or a friend or anyone that is suffering with any of these problems, you're going to want to stick around today.
Well, it should be a great show. Stay tuned. You're watching Talk Utah. She's Holly Love and I'm Trip Mitchell. We'll be right back.
System Networks has been helping companies nationwide for a surprisingly low price. With a wide range of 24/7 technical support services and a staff of high-level network engineers, System Networks can eliminate all your company's time-wasting technical problems, allowing your team to be more efficient and able to focus on the work they do. System Networks has the most sophisticated and secure cloud services in the country and programs like Office 365. Plus, System Networks can customize data plans to meet the budgetary needs of any sized company.
My name's Jeff Laramie. I'm the CEO of Beans and Brews Coffee House. I originally called System Networks because we wanted to try outsourcing our IT. I would highly recommend System Networks because they've been a fantastic IT partner for us. They're super reliable, very knowledgeable, and they've just been a great overall consultant for us.
Mention this ad and they'll put $1,500 toward a new server, cloud licensing, or firewalls. Let System Networks handle your technical needs so you can focus on what you do best. Welcome back. All right, Mr. Trip Mitchell, what do you got? News you can use.
This is a great story from southern Utah.
Okay.
Woman about to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
The contractions are getting closer and closer. Jump in the car, the whole family, they're going to Cedar City to have the baby.
Okay.
So naturally what happens? The water breaks and they have to have the kid by the side of the road.
Really?
Highway patrolman, the name is Bonnie Diedrich, and she's from Enterprise, Utah, and a police officer stopped by, and his name's Tony Gower, and he helped deliver the kid, and she'd asked if he'd ever done it before, and he said, yeah, he hadn't. But
really?
he, the only thing, clean towels and water. Now, here's my question.
Okay.
How, the kid wants to come out. Do you really have to, all you pretty much have to do is catch him, right?
Oh gosh, this is a crazy thing to talk about. We have Chris here whose wife delivered kind of like that, like super duper fast. I hope it's okay that I tell this story. I'm getting a yes, so it's okay. I mean, she was like the baby, they were catching it like from that Tim Burton movie, Big Fish, like the baby, I visualized that, and then scooping up the baby. So some women have a really easy time, and then there's like my niece who just recently had a baby, and in the last 5 minutes, everything went wrong. And had she not been in the hospital, I mean, they could have lost both mother and baby.
That's the weird thing. There's some women or men who decide to have midwives or not go to a hospital to have kids. Is that safe, or is that, are you risking things there?
Well, again, in the sake of my niece's situation, we would have definitely lost her and the baby had she not been there. Within, it was 5 minutes. It went from everything going just fine to crazy scary. So I think some women have an easy time and some births are very simple, but that's the lovely thing about modern technology and medicine is that you can prevent.
I have seen a baby being born
Really?
I
What baby have you seen be born?
I'm not going to get into, well, it was actually my niece.
Okay.
I drove my sister to LDS Hospital 30 years ago
Okay.
and got into the...
Is this why you're not married with kids?
Exactly. This is the reason. So I'm in the delivery room, and the nurse forgets to kick me out, and I'm at the wrong end.
Oh dear.
And
Did you switch?
no.
Oh.
It's like watching a train wreck.
Oh, you can't not look at it.
Oh my God. It's like Alien. It is horrible.
Can I be honest? I've never watched the video. I don't want to know. I kind of feel like the less I know, the better.
Well, when it comes to childbirth, you're 1,000% right. That
Okay.
is the most scary thing. And my niece has never stopped scaring me for the last 30 years, and she rides a Harley and still scares me.
Yeah.
But that being said, watching a kid come out, so I think we're in agreement. Go to the
Yes.
hospital to have a kid.
Go to the hospital if you can, and if you have to have one on the side of the road, let's hope for a really good police officer who is willing to just, do his best.
And it's a girl, and her name is Pebble. We'll be right back after the short break.
It's not Pebble.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Call our toll-free number or visit our website for a free idea kit. Endless pools are simple to install, easy to maintain, and economical to run. Swim or exercise against a smooth current that adjusts to any speed or ability. Perfect for year-round health, fitness, and relaxation. Call our toll-free number or visit our website for your free Endless Pools idea kit.
And welcome back to Talk Utah. Trip Mitchell, Holly Love. And Holly, today we're about to get serious, but we're going to talk about a problem that's become omnipresent all over the country.
It is a really big deal. We threw out a little bit of statistics earlier, but if you have a child that is struggling with any type of learning disabilities, or just even academically or socially or behaviorally, you're going to want to stick around for the next couple segments, because I had the opportunity to go down to the grand opening of a brand new Brain Balance facility in Pleasant Grove, Utah, and talk to the Executive Center Director, Tammy Bingham, and the founder of the whole thing, Dr. Robert Malello. And we sat down and we chatted a little bit about why kids are struggling and how they are helping them overcome all of these issues.
I started this because I was aware that we were facing an epidemic, that these children are here because they're gifted. They have areas of their brain that are stronger than most, and because of that, they're more prone to an imbalance.
Okay, I am here with the founder of Brain Balance, Dr. Malello. Dr. Malello, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I'm so excited I got to come down here, and we've been focusing on Utah kids at Talk Utah. I mean, we have so many problems facing our children right now, from bullying, which has been a big thing we've been talking about recently, but what I find interesting here is you guys kind of connect it all. I mean, bullying, social disorders, and all of the learning disabilities, they're all kind of combined. It's on the same thread. So
Yeah.
You founded Brain Balance. Tell me, how did all of that happen?
I've been a clinician for 30 years, and my
You have a few degrees.
expertise, yeah, I have a few.
You're right.
My specialty was always really neurology and rehabilitation and neuropsychology. In the early 90s, a neighbor had come to me and asked me if I could look into her son's ADHD and tell her more about it. And I've been working with a lot of adults, and I didn't know what ADHD was.
Yeah.
So I started doing some research, and the thing that struck me was that between 1990 and 95, the use of Ritalin in the diagnosis of ADHD had increased 250% in the United States. So I went around, I started doing research and talking to people, and I said, well, what is
What's
ADHD,
going on?
right? What's
Yeah.
happening in the brain? Because I knew a lot about the brain. Obviously, I've been teaching it. I knew a lot about rehab, so I was really inclined to say, well, if I know what the problem is, I can probably try to fix it, right?
Yeah.
They didn't know what it actually was in the brain. They could, you know, recall a list of symptoms, but that wasn't the problem.
Okay, I am here with Tammy Bingham. Tammy, you are the reason Brain Balance is in Utah. You struggled with your own children,
Yes.
and that's how you found Brain Balance. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, my two boys were really struggling. Brody, at the time we found brain balance was 8, Wyatt was 6, but you know, for 4 or 5 years before then, we had really been searching for answers for them, because from a young age, I could tell that there was something that just wasn't quite right. It wasn't anything huge. In fact, my husband kept telling me I was crazy. He was just a boy, they're just boys, but I could tell that, you know, that there was just something a little bit different. But it wasn't so much that I wanted to run out and have my child diagnosed or give them medication. But it started to get to that point. I mean, it started to get where, okay, now we've gone through, we tried school, it didn't work, we tried private school, it didn't work, we tried homeschool, it didn't, you know, it's not really working. We're taking 4 hours to do a lesson that should take 20 minutes because this child just can't focus, he can't sit still. But at the same time, he was brilliant. He was so smart. My younger son, Wyatt, as well. I mean, he was at 3 years old taking apart alphabet puzzles and spelling words with them, but he couldn't speak. And I thought, okay, this does not make sense. It's totally backwards. But because they had those skills, I knew there was something in there, but I could not figure out how to get it out. And so through you know, different therapies and things, we had some you know, some changes. But really, after, you know, looking at the big picture, we had spent a lot of money and time over 5 years and got about this far in our journey.
And you found that it's the difference between the two sides, right and left
Right,
side.
there's a problem called the functional disconnection, which essentially is a developmental imbalance in the brain, where certain areas of the brain are more mature and more connected, and other areas of the brain are immature and underconnected, and that the two hemispheres aren't really talking to one another. And one of the things that I noticed early on in research and looking into these issues is that almost everybody who had ever looked into these noted that there was what's called an unevenness of skills, which means that, you know, these kids have certain skills that are well above the of others. Sometimes they have exceptional skills in an area or multiple areas, and then they have other areas that are equally as delayed or underdeveloped or behind.
Like they're super, super smart, and then they can't socialize.
Right.
They can't make a friend.
Right.
Or they're super social, they're a star of the baseball team, they are
they're great
like
athlete.
super athletic, and they cannot spell.
Yeah.
2- and 3-year-olds were thinking that he was too obnoxious to play with. He was getting in people's, you know, space. He didn't know what things were appropriate to say in certain times. But again, yet he could memorize every fact about a shark. He knew everything about, you know, history. I mean, he was so brilliant, but he couldn't ride a bike. He couldn't tie his shoes, and it was just, it's so confusing. And so, had a friend give me this book called Disconnected Kids that was written by Dr. Melillo, and I started reading it, and every last thing just described my kids. They're great here, but they struggle here, and this is why, and we can actually change it.
And because there was no damage in the brain, there's no injury in the brain.
Because it's not brain damage, it's just brain development delayed.
Right, it's just an imbalance, really. And it's a delay,
you can
right.
develop that other side and strengthen that other side.
Just by stimulating
So it's not like a life sentence, like you're just stuck with this Asperger's or dyslexia or these problems.
Right.
You can actually do things, and what I find most interesting is you found that it's exercises, it's smelling smells, it's a diet, it's all of these things. You're not having them learn more, you're not having them study more.
Right.
You're having them do exercises. How does that correlate?
Well, because the brain controls everything, right? And so when you have areas of the brain, first of all, again, these kids, they don't have only one problem. They never have just an attentional problem or they just can't read. But they also have motor problems. They're uncoordinated, or they have fine motor problems, or gross motor, or muscle tone issues, or their eyes don't track, or they have sensory processing issues and imbalances. They almost always have immune and dietary issues going on. So all of these issues are involved in these kids in varying degrees, and that makes sense because the brain controls all of that.
We've been talking a lot, even on Talk Utah, with bullying. I mean, it's such a huge problem, and the root of a lot of bullying is the fact that these kids aren't socially able to work together.
Right.
And it's these disorders.
And when you look at the right and left brain, one side's become stronger, one's weaker. If we have all these kids running around, which we do, with these weaknesses, they don't really understand that saying that hurts you. Because if you don't understand yourself, and you don't understand your own emotions, you can't understand someone else's. And so they'll just go right up and say that I don't like you, or you know, you smell bad. And we get these kinds of things with our kids, but it's because their logical linear brain is just, a literal brain is telling them, well, this person, I don't like them, I don't know them.
And
but
you have to straighten that that other side.
But we need that other side that says, hey, you know, let's have some compassion and let's have some empathy and let's really see, oh, that hurt their feelings, I don't want to hurt them. That's just not there yet.
So while you were there, while you're back east and you're working in the program, you said you noticed a difference in a matter of a couple days.
Oh, yes.
And what happens here is it's a whole body approach to helping them learn because of the imbalances in the brain.
Exactly, and the thing that made it more simple for me to understand, because you know I was coming from a very different perspective, was they said, you know, how does the brain develop in the first place? Through movement, crawling, climbing, touching things, sticking things in your mouth, seeing, hearing. That's how the little children are developing. So they said we basically just have to go back and redo that. It's very intensive. There's a lot of stimulation that's going on. That's what we're smelling. And one interesting story real quickly was that my one son, when I got to brain balance, they said, did you know that he doesn't smell? He's not even sniffing at all.
Really?
And I had no idea. And this child for 5 years had barely eaten a thing, was so picky, wouldn't try new foods. And they said he doesn't taste, so why does he want to eat these weird foods that you're giving him? He's looking at them based on color or texture, but not what actually, you know, tastes good. And so when his sense of smell started to develop, he started eating. And this kid, after 5 years of eating therapy that wouldn't eat, is now trying new foods by the dozens a day.
And the diet is a huge part of this too, because learning and diet and brain development, these things all go hand in hand.
They
apparently.
do.
That's one thing that, again, very few people understand, that the brain actually controls the gut and the digestive system and the immune system. So that if you have imbalances in the brain and brain development, you're going to see imbalances in those systems. So, you know, autoimmune problems where you're sensitive to all these foods and chemicals is really because the brain is out of balance and the immune system is out of balance. You know, leaky gut problems, digestive issues, they're related to brain problems.
I love that you have such a holistic approach to this, that you're treating every single almost problem that we're saying is an epidemic here.
We're not looking to just compensate and just help a little bit. We're looking to make complete corrections, and we do that the majority of the time. And it's really, you know, such a blessing to the families who have been, in many cases, given no hope. They've been told there's nothing that can be done for your child, or even start looking for an institution for your child. And we're able to often turn that around completely.
Well, great. So we've got a book coming out in March for our parents who want to know more about all of your theories and how you came to develop this program. It's available in your first book, a second one out in March. Watch online for lectures that are in your area. And then, you know, a cookbook coming soon. Dr. Melello, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you very much.
Let System Networks handle your technical needs so you can focus on what you do best. With a wide range of 24/7 technical support services and a staff of high-level network engineers, System Networks can eliminate all your company's time-wasting technical problems, allowing your team to be more efficient, productive, and able to focus on the work they do. Mention this ad and they'll put $1,500 toward a new server, cloud licensing, or firewalls. System Networks, allowing you to do what you do best.
And welcome back to Talk Utah. That was very impressive. And you know, when you don't have kids, like in my case, you don't realize all the stuff that has been done to make kids' education process easier. In my case, we went in and the nuns beat us. I mean, literally, you put your hands on the desk, they beat you with a ruler, and you studied harder. That might not be the most progressive way to teach kids.
And obviously we're learning that that's, you know, it's a bigger issue than that. And not having children myself, but I have a niece who has struggled with a lot of these things, and she's been doing the program for a couple of weeks, and I have to tell you, I have honestly noticed a huge difference to be around her. It's a pretty amazing program.
And I've met her, she's a bright kid, but you know, sometimes when things don't connect, it can be a challenge.
And it makes sense when you listen to Tammy and Dr. Melello talk about the imbalances in the brain and what's actually happening and how, you know, one side is stronger, one side is weaker, and it's like all of a sudden these kids that you've met, it's like, oh my gosh, you can see how that's happening.
There was a wonderful book written by Michael Lewis on the financial meltdown in 2008. And the gentleman, one of the people who made the most money, was a doctor with Asperger's. And his Asperger's syndrome didn't allow him to practice medicine as successfully as he liked, even though he was brilliant.
Because he couldn't deal with people.
Exactly. But he was able to analyze the financial situation, and he was the one in 2005 and 6 who realized that the financial markets, in particular the mortgage markets, were going to melt down. And amazing skills in one set.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what we're figuring out, is that these people are extremely brilliant, even though they're not able to function the way our old school system is like saying they should be able to function. They're still brilliant, and the cool thing about Brain Balance is they're figuring out how to help strengthen that other side so that they can be a little bit more out there along with their brilliant side. So before we talk too long about this, we had a chance to also talk with one of the coaches there at Brain Balance. Her name is Sydney. She's been there for a few years, and we can actually see what they are doing to have these incredible results with these kids. Okay, I am here with Sydney. Sydney, you have been a coach for Brain Balance for how long?
3 years.
And why did you want to do this?
At first, I didn't really know what I was getting signed up for. I just knew that it was a program that helped kids. And now that I've been around, I have seen it literally change lives. And some of the kids, it's really slow progress. Some kids, it's like there's an overnight click. But all the kids that come through our program 100% see changes because we're getting to the root of the problem.
What I find interesting is you're not in here actually helping them with math and science. You don't have a math book open, and yet both of these two that I talked to, both Hallie and Garrett, said they were struggling with reading, they were struggling with math, and the typical approach would be to buckle down and work on math and reading. But what we saw here today, you guys were smelling some stuff, climbing a wall, you were clapping. What does all of this have to do with math and science?
So many things. So for example, I'll kind of break it down by some of the things we did. So one of the things we did were these eye exercises over here, where the kids are tracking some stripes or some visual things that are going on, some visual stimulation. And what happens is when our kids come in, their eyes aren't working totally together. So reading is hard because if your eyes are not working like this as they go across a page, you can't read.
And they don't need glasses.
No, absolutely not. We've actually had kids that go back to their doctor and no longer need glasses after the program, which is another cool victory.
Wow.
So what happens is we work on the eye, the actual ability of the eye to move side to side so that reading becomes easier. Another thing academically that, said how does it relate? The clapper is what the kids call it, the interactive metronome. What that is they're clapping, it's rhythm and timing, and what it is rhythm and timing between the two sides of the brain. Because what happens is you need both sides of your brain working together. So if that rhythm and timing is off, you can study and study and study for a test, and you go in to take it, and the timing is off, so you pull a blank. Like, I don't know what this is. I don't know this spelling word. They know it. They've learned it time and time again. So as they go through our program and that rhythm and timing starts to work, the two sides start to communicate, so they can recall that information. And we do some different smells that stimulate the weaker hemisphere, because that's Brain Balance. We're trying to stimulate the weaker side, because most of our kids that we see, actually all of them, have a weaker side. So what we do is we do smells that are stimulating that weaker side. If you notice, they plug their nose. That way it goes directly up to stimulate the part of the brain that we're trying to do. A lot of our kids that come in are picky eaters, or they're very picky about certain textures, and they put something in and they spit it back out. And what happens is you need all your senses working together to eat. Because if you put a plate and spaghetti in front of you, if you're not smelling that, spaghetti looks weird. You put it in your mouth, even weirder texture. You're going to spit it out. Yeah. But what happens is as you stimulate that side of the brain and those parts of the brain, then you are now smelling it to say, oh, that smells good. I want to eat that. And then you actually try it. So all the things we're doing are to stimulate that weaker hemisphere. So
and there's flashing lights in the
there's
glasses.
flashing lights. So like they'll flash in just the left side. That means it's crossing over. It stimulates that right side of the brain. So, and then we do monkey bars and some core activities just to build core strength. Core is what pushes development forward. That's how initial development happens, is through core movement and sensory stimulation. We call this our sensory motor room. You're moving your bodies, you're having those senses. Think about a baby, they're picking up everything and they're putting things in their mouth and they're crawling and then they're running. And we want to basically go through all those different steps again. And then balance beam. That's just balance, coordination, core strength, as well as what I was talking about, the communication between the two hemispheres. That also helps with that. It's called synchronization. The spinny chair is called PRNG, post-rotary nystagmus. What that helps with is just our balance and equilibrium, just our different systems there.
So training your body and having your body work well on right and left side, and being able to do all of these things, actually the same as the smelling, the same as the eye thing, having muscles work correctly, stimulate the brain to then be able to function at a higher level, and then learning becomes not so hard.
Exactly, because what happens is when both hemispheres are working together, everything's going to be easier. And that's why it's so successful. That's why we need 3, 6, 9 months instead of years and years. So.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for talking to us and showing us how this all works.
Absolutely.
Okay, Tammy, for those parents out there, those grandparents, their aunts, anyone who has a child that is struggling with social problems or learning problems, what is the best way for them to get started?
The best way is to just come into one of our centers. You can call, we can give you information on the phone, but it's really great to come in, see what we're all about. It's a very different program. It's a different approach than what people are used to, and we can learn more about the child and be able to give them, the parents, real answers of what is causing these struggles for their kids. But every child has that ability to reach a greater potential, and so our centers have, kids all ages from 4 up to the early 20s, even sometimes that we have that are struggling maybe with just focus or something. So, but they can come in. We'll learn about the child, educate them on the program, and we can get them started that way.
And where are your locations?
We have one in South Jordan, our new one in Pleasant Grove that just opened a couple months ago, our grand opening, and then we have one also in St. George for anyone that has family in that area. So.
And you have more to come, right?
Yes, there's one planned this spring for Bountiful.
Great.
And then also in the Summerlin and Las Vegas area, and there's actually over 80 centers nationwide. So if there's families that have friends and family outside of the state, absolutely great to let them know about the program.
Okay. Now, what if they mentioned they saw Talk Utah? I heard there may be a little scholarship involved for our Talk Utah people.
Well, we love Talk Utah, and so we're just offering for anyone that sees anything on your shows that then they come into the center if they mention that they saw our program there, that they can receive a $250 scholarship off their child's program. So.
Oh my goodness! Thank you.
Yes.
That's great. Well, for those of you struggling out there with any of these problems with your children, or you said all the way up to 20, definitely come into a Brain Balance Center. Tammy, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
If you've been looking for alternative healthcare, imagine coming into a facility where you can meet with someone who specializes in your condition and then takes your exam findings and meets with a team of specialists to come up with a combined approach that will put you back on the path to health. At Integrated Wellness, they have everything from a medical doctor to an allergy specialist on staff. All combined, they can treat conditions ranging from rheumatoid arthritis to allergies, even chronic fatigue. Call Integrated Wellness for your consultation so you can be on the path to wellness today.
Welcome back. Trip Mitchell, what do you think about all of this stuff?
Well, it really is amazing, and
the results are like beyond impressive. It is kind of mind-blowing, actually.
And in particular, we talked about Asperger's before the last segment rolled. If we can help any kid, these kids have brilliance in some part of their lives, and if we can help them early and allow them to be super productive, but still not fetter their brilliant side, that's only going to be better for the U.S.
Well, and here's the cool thing. I found out that basically they're working on a program for adults, so I naturally signed us both up for that because they said if you're struggling on one side, your right brain strong or left brain strong, but if you're struggling with both sides, there's a term for it. Are you ready?
What?
Bilaterally low. And I figured out that we're both bilaterally low.
Well, I would think that maybe some summer school. Wasn't that the worst? By the way, did you ever have to go to summer school?
No.
I didn't either. But when you found out,
Trip,
let's say hypothetically,
so in summer school.
When you find out you got to go to summer school, that is like the worst. It is, oh, man, the nun used to come up and say,
oh, no.
You're going to summer school. Oh, there is nothing worse than summer school.
It's like I just start to understand everything that, makes me love and want to strangle you.
At the same time.
At the same time.
Well, Holly, thanks for doing all that great work, and I think we've learned a lot today. And we'll have a website on the bottom of the screen if you need more information on everything that we've talked about today. For Holly Love, I'm Trip Mitchell. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.